Buckle up, Buttercup. It's bumpy out there. Today, we've got Bob Kudla from Trade Genius Academy. Folks, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Bob is actually, he's a Marine. He served as a Marine and big time into business development. And with what's going on right now, geopolitically, there's just so much going on around the world. I knew we were going to see some big changes when President Trump came into office in January, but I saw some verbiage about shock and awe, mentioning shock and awe. And it kind of seems like that on the political landscape. So many things are being unveiled right now as far as government spending. And now we've got Elon Musk leading the team to go in, Doge going in, uncovering all these like money laundering schemes. It appears to be at least what we're seeing right now. So big times ahead, folks. And with that in mind, there's also a lot of opportunities. So, Bob is an excellent trader. And being the founder of Trade Genius Academy, they've got these algorithms that help people trade stocks and cryptos, and you set your charts, and it's a really cool program. I've been with Bob now for like 5 years, I think, and love the opportunities. We're going to share those with you. But I've got some key questions that I wanted to ask Bob geopolitically about the landscape right now. Before we get into that, if you go to tradelikeagenius.com, there's some huge savings right now. You'll get up to 65% off the bundled items, and you can start being a trader yourself. Get into it, make some money, have some fun. Bob, I know you just upgraded your algorithm and you're literally changing people's lives. I just got a message the other day from somebody that you helped out. They're making a ton of money with you guys, and people are loving it. So how have you been? It's good to see you, and thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's been far too long. I know you and I have been trying to get together since, I don't know, before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it's all my fault because I see that, hey, let's get together. And I'm like, oh, that sounds good. I put it on my calendar and I proceed to ignore you. So I totally apologize. And I love you like a brother, and I guess I ignore him too. So let's get rolling on this. It's absolutely an incredible time to be alive. There's an old Chinese proverb saying, may you live in interesting times. And so I think the last 4 years, I think people are waking up from a freaking nightmare. And I don't mean that because I'm biased one way or another. I mean, we were going down a pretty evil slope. And I mean, just from the grace of God that he decided to U-turn this thing. And it's having a reverb around the entire world, okay? There are people that you would have never thought would be siding with Trump that are siding with Trump. And I don't mean like Trump specifically. I mean the Trump approach, and I'll give you an example. I mean, look no further than Mexico, right? Obviously he put the border up. He said the cartels are a criminal organization or terrorist organization, actually. And now you got the Mexican Senate and the Mexican Congress, and the president of Mexico says, hey, you need to help us get rid of the cartels. I mean, you'd have never heard that before, and you have Zuckerberg doing a 180, right? And you have all these other billionaires. I think what happened was there must have been so much extortion and blackmail over these people that they were frozen in indecision at best or working against the country at worst. And now with Elon Musk if he doesn't win, Man of the Year award and he doesn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, then we know it's a corrupt organization because, Trump said it last night in his speech to Mar-a-Lago. He said, our nation is extremely corrupt. That's the president of our country basically saying we're pretty evil. And now we're seeing all this money that U.S. aid has been fomenting violence around the world, and a lot of it reverbing back into the United States, is that we may not see as many wars now because we've been agitating all these wars. And so, what Trump's doing here is that you have Ukraine and Russia is going to resolve. Okay, the Russians didn't want this war. The Ukrainians people didn't want this war, but there was a cabal that wanted this war, and the gravy train's over. And you're going to see Zelensky, he's going to lose his job here if he forces a vote, and I think so. You think that's going to resolve, and then so Trump's going to be able to he always had a cordial relationship with Russia. And let me be really clear here. My family came from the Soviet bloc, right? Eastern Europe. I have no love for Russia. I have no love for Putin, but I'm a realist, and we can't have them as an enemy. Okay, there's too many things we need from them, and Russia actually needs the West, and we don't want to force them into China's camp. That's a disaster for us. But if we could bring Russia over into the Western orbit again, it's huge. And here's the other thing. We get rid of the Iranian issue, right? I'm in no love for the Sunnis, but when I was in the Marine Corps barracks got blown up. I mean, that was literally when I was active duty. My battery that I was part of rotated back from Lebanon. A week later, the barracks blew up. Okay, so it's personal for me, and so I have no love for the Shiites at all. And they're very agitated in terms of their approach to the world. They're the only group in the world that we really should fear because they want to usher in the 12th Mahdi, which is the coming of what they would view as their Messiah. And so they would have no trouble dropping nukes because they would think that's just going to hasten the end of the world. So, so if you calm them down, the Sunni Arabs, right, all that oil money, they don't want to fight. They all want to get rich. So if that solves itself, then they can isolate China. And so it can really, really, really calm this world down a lot. And then, with USAID getting blown up and probably, all this fraud that's out there, you're going to take $1 trillion out of the pocket of the communist left, and they'll probably never win another election in the United States without having all that money and all that fraud in terms of citizenship. So, really, really fascinating times. But we will go through it. We'll go through a dip in this because we're basically going to wipe out $1 trillion of spending in the U.S. and when you're a debt-based economy, if you take that much money out of the money supply, you can't help but going into a recession. But the interesting thing is Rex, is that the people that are going to be affected aren't the people that vote for Trump anyway. And so the people that are going to be benefiting from it are people that did vote for Trump, even the new voters. So it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be problematic for the right people and good for the good people. So, with that backdrop, Doge was basically it's Clausewitz on war, right? And they're hitting the enemy all at once and using technologies that the left is not able to confront. So they went in there with their machine learning algorithms, right? With some of the smartest people that the world has ever seen, dropping in on these bureaucrats. And they're drawing data out in hours that people couldn't get for decades. And now that they got momentum and they can show things, is that they're not going to be able to hide it anymore. And then when they start applying, now they're applying these codes to treasury purchases, so it doesn't match up to literally a line item in the congressional record. It doesn't get spent. So you can't have, I never can say this word, slush funds. Peter Piper picked a pick of peppers, right? And then the other thing they're going to do too is with Social Security and Medicare fraud. They're going to be able to, these machines, this stuff is like amazing. They're going to be able to pick up and determine where there's mismatches. And we're going to find out where all this fraud money's been going. And a lot of it's going overseas. I wouldn't be surprised if China and North Korea weren't funding their governments with all the fraud that's been wasted upon the American people. Remember, China, they hacked our Social Security system. So who knows how many people they put in there to get paid, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see. And it's going to take 4 to 6 months, but every day they're going to be dropping nuggets out there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some pretty prominent people be on trial next year, indicted even all the way up even into treason. So you can't hide this stuff. I'm bending over now because my dog's bothering me.
You're petting your dog.
Yeah, he doesn't know. I'm looking this way at the trades. I'm looking at you for the thing, and the dog wants to be petted. So there you go. I'm multitasking.
And you don't even have a Neuralink. That's great. Well, so being a Marine and obviously into business development, you've got your finger on the pulse. And I was going to ask you, like, geopolitically, let's say that the U.S. has been talking about possibly leaving NATO. Let's say that happens, and now the French president Macron comes out and says, "Well, let's possibly do a fast track to bring Ukraine into NATO." Now, if this scenario happens, if the U.S. leaves NATO and Ukraine joins NATO, what do you see happening then?
Well, I mean, it would be disaster because then Russia would probably have to do something that it doesn't want to do. So, look, if we left NATO, Europe is in no position to defend itself.
And that's kind of what they're saying, even.
Yeah. So I don't think we would leave NATO because we want to lose the influence. Okay, but I think look, Trump would do other things. He would literally cut off probably trading with the EU because he would want to risk that war. I mean, that would be absolutely destruction because China would be forced to bring their armed forces into Russia to defend them. China would be forced to come in because, that would get bloody. And look, if the French people aren't going to put up with thousands of their people getting killed. I mean, this warfare between Russia and Ukraine is no joke. These people are slaughtering each other. And it's like World War I all over again. So they're sitting in trenches fighting each other, with all these drones and stuff like that. I can't imagine, we start pumping rockets at Russia starts pumping rockets at Europe, and all of a sudden Russia just drops 4 or 5, missiles right into the heart of Paris, right? I'm saying it'll get mo fugly. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think Ukraine is going to be exposed as probably one of the most corrupt places on earth. We're finding out now that they took our military stuff and they sold it to the cartels in Mexico. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll back down, and I don't think the Eastern Europeans like Poland and Hungary, they don't really like Russia and what they're doing, but at the same time, they don't want the war on their doorsteps either. So I don't think it's going to happen. To be honest with you,
that sounds pretty nasty. Let's definitely.
Look, the French can't even win in Mali. Okay.
Drum roll, please. Okay, well let's get to the next one then. So, what about Taiwan, China, the Philippines, and Japan tensions? Now, I'm bringing this up because I've been doing I've been researching China and the CCP for like 15 years, and it seems like they're getting more powerful and more advanced every single day. There's some new article about an artificial intelligence program or a humanoid robot, or their 6th generation stealth fighters that are coming out now. Did you know their new 6th generation stealth fighter has a separate engine for its laser cannon? I mean, that's insane. Anyway, so whole other podcast. But with these developments, and China has major plans by 2027. If you type in China 2027, there's all these projects and programs geared towards usurping Taiwan again, taking back Taiwan. What are your thoughts on that?
10 missiles from Taiwan go into the Three Gorges Dam, and you have 40 million dead Chinese. So, I'm going to take an opposite view. I've also been a China follower for a long time, and I draw the opposite conclusions that of all those articles that come out. China is primarily okay. They looked at that 6th generation stealth fighter, and there's a lot of glitz. What we like to say, there's a lot of heat, but not a lot of light, right? So, it's all for show, and China is literally going bankrupt before our eyes. I mean, we are literally unemploying their whole country, and with right now their unemployment rate is astronomical, and if you're under 30, you're almost starving to death there. There's no work at all. And Xi is now starting to get into some actual physical altercation between Xi's people and the other mandarins on the other side. It is monolithic. It is not. There is a north south divide there. You got the rice belt and the wheat belt in China, right? And remember, South has all the water, the North needs the water. There's a lot of competing influences in China. And when things go well, just like the United States, people don't get involved. When things don't go well, all of a sudden you have problems, and Xi's having problems. Look, if he invades Taiwan, he's going to suffer economically, right? Yeah. So Xi's in trouble, and he's going to have a lot more domestic issues, and so Japan will not stand for Taiwan getting invaded, because that just brings China that much closer to Japan. Remember, there's Japanese islands 10 miles from Taiwan. I don't know if you know that. There's a Japanese air base on the islands just 10 miles from Taiwan. Okinawa is right there too. And so Japan is already really clear with China is that we'll come to the defense of Taiwan. And Japan's literally dropped their non-aggression part of their constitution too. And they just retrograded or updated the F-16 to Japanese standards. Okay, they made it a better jet, and they have the F-35. Yeah, I'll give you an aside. Do you know we flew the F-35s over Japan? The Japanese radars couldn't pick it up. And the Japanese radars are the best radars in the world because they came from the U.S. They couldn't find the F-35s. So that should just freak the hell out of China. Okay, and and look, Taiwan has missiles. China has to get over there on boats. Okay, you ever heard of Anduril?
Yes, the drone company.
Yeah, Palmer Luckey's company.
Mm-hmm.
So he's also preparing America for a conflict with China in 2026, 2027, and some of the technology that he has. He could sell it to Taiwan. Okay. They have these drone swarms or these missile swarms that basically take out every boat that's coming from China. So China can destroy Taiwan, no problem at all. It's just that at what price is it going to cost China? And will they be able to invade China? I mean, they would be in a guerrilla war for the next 20 years. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to Taiwan. Half the country's a mountain. Okay. So all the people live on the plain on the western side, northern western side, and so people can just be able to slip in and slip out. They'd be slaughtering Chinese soldiers for years, and and remember, in China, most people only have one son. You'd be wiping out legacy families forever. And the Chinese people wouldn't stand for. They couldn't stand losing 19 people in a conflict with India a couple years back. Okay, I don't know if you know that they got into a pissing contest with India over a land dispute up there over water, and push came to shove, and 19 Chinese soldiers died. When they came home in body bags, China couldn't hide it because India was just trumpeting it. It was a national scandal. Can you imagine tens of 15s and 20,000 of your children getting wiped out? So I don't think China is going to do it. If they do, it's going to be so costly for them that they're going to be totally isolated from the world. And so, these are my views, and so far I've been pretty right on China. I said China is really the economy is 30% overvalued because they count real estate speculation in there, and their real estate is basically bankrupt. All their developers are bankrupt, and now their manufacturers are going to go bankrupt. Look, we've been moving stuff to India and to Vietnam, Korea, and Japan, and now Trump's going to bring a lot of it home. So China, and communist countries and totalitarian countries and countries that are mercantilistic, they don't let their people spend, right? So they can't switch to a consumer economy. And so you just end up getting unemployment.
Just the amount of people in that region is quite shocking. When, growing up in the States, we have a lot of open space out here, big trucks, big cars, big houses. And then you get into the, India and China, billions of people just in that region there and those big cities. But I remember watching a video about the real estate. I'm glad you brought that up. In China, I guess that the real estate, there's so many houses and or skyscrapers, like a lot of skyscrapers out there with apartments in them that are basically rotting, but they're still using that as some type of
like collateral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a very, very, I would like to know what you think about this. So President Trump had talked about rebuilding Gaza, and then he said, we'll take it over, we'll own it. And I thought, okay, that's pretty interesting. And then I started reading through a multitude of articles where, like, the Palestinians out there, that, that's their home, that's what they know. They say, hey, we're not going to leave. So you're not, even though we're living in rubble right now, we're not going to go. And so I'm looking at both sides of this. I'm looking at it from a neutral standpoint, and I'm thinking, okay, let's say that the U.S. does go back and rebuild Gaza, turns it into maybe like a 15-minute city, a big smart city or something like that, and then dislocates all the Palestinians. You're probably going to create long-term hatred. You're going to create generational hatred because you made the locals leave. So I thought to myself, why don't we figure out a way to let the natives and the locals rebuild, and figure out a way to get them a part of rebuilding, so that they'll have, just some, they'll have they'll have some skin in the game, basically. And then I just found a new article that came out saying that President Trump did get together with the King of Jordan. And it's the quotes here: Trump was attentive and sympathetic in his meeting with Jordan's King Abdullah, a source told the Middle East Eye, where they actually might rebuild and not the U.S. Did you read about that?
Yeah. So this is
a good idea, right?
Yeah. Well, Trump does this all the time. He says the most provocative thing is to get people to react, right? And so we're not going to spend a nickel in Gaza, and we're not going to take Gaza over. What we're doing is we're providing cover for the Saudis and the Gulf states to say, there's no way we're letting the United States in there. We better get our butts in there and take care of it, and look, they don't like Hamas either, right? Hamas is a cancer, okay, that will infect them too. And remember, Hamas got my alerts are going off.
He's making millions of dollars right now as we're having this conversation with trades.
That's my algorithm. Remember, Hamas is funded by Iran, the arch enemy of the Saudis and stuff like that. So they're going to dismantle that whole function. And look, they made deli slices. Look, at those people in Gaza, where would they rather live, right? But they have to get rid of Hamas. So that's the whole point there. Trump's not going to go in and take over Gaza, and we're not going to put American troops in there to deal with that. I mean, they'd be getting pot shot every day. So that's the same with the Greenland thing too, right? We should just buy Greenland. Well, there's truth hidden in these statements. Basically, you got China in there now trying to do exploration. The Greenlanders want to be independent from Denmark. Well, if they get independent from Denmark, they don't have enough money to support themselves. The United States comes in there, offers them a security guarantee, and then basically saying, in order for us to basically subsidize your country, you're going to give us mineral rights. We're going to protect you. You're going to give us fishing rights. We're going to protect that. And we basically kick Russia and China out of Greenland, and the Greenlanders are happy. We'll give them more money. And, being a vassal of the United States will be far better than being a vassal of China or Europe. So, and the same with Canada, 51st state thing.
I was just asking you about that. Yeah.
He's just being provocative to make a point to Trudeau is that you're nothing without me. You're nothing without the United States. And, and half of Canada wants to become part of the United States anyway. I think there's a charter in the provinces that they can actually leave. Because remember when Quebec said they wanted to become their own country? Remember that? They did a referendum to leave Canada. And then Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba said, "Hey, no problemo. We'll vote to succeed and join the United States." Oh, by the way, all your food and all your energy comes from us. So that's part of that too. It's what happens. It forces people to have these conversations. Plus, I don't think we want them as a 51st state. Too many liberals probably are there, and
You're the second person I've heard say that in 2 days.
yes, we would lose voting. So we're better off just making them like Puerto Rico.
I was going to mention Canada because I had brought that up, and what President Trump had said upset a lot of Canadians. But then the other side, somebody said, "Hell yeah, I'd much rather." From Canada, I read a comment. Somebody in Canada, they said they were in Canada. They said, "I would much rather have Trump as a president than Trudeau." And I said, "Touche, touche, man." Yeah. So very divided, though. It's just it seems like right now, geopolitically and nationally, we are at a point where the nation is divided. It seems like President Trump's trying to bring everybody together, but you have so much anger towards the administration. And I think a lot of that is because of the media pushing that for so many years.
Don't you think it's manufactured? I think we're going to find out that the country's 65-35, it was never 50-50. But, that 15% swing was because the media had all this money and they were singing from the same hymn book, and they're paying people off. Just like a terrorist organization, you cut off the funding, the terrorists go away. Right? Because you have to make a living somewhere. I think the same thing's going to happen with all these activists. They're getting funded by the U.S. government surreptitiously through these NGOs, right? If that money goes away, they're going to, as Musk says, they're going to go from being unproductive work to being productive citizens. And so they won't have time like the rest of us to, sit and agitate all day because they were getting paid to do that. Well, that money's going away. So I think you're going to see I think the country's more 2/3, 1/3. We've always been center right. They just made it sound like it's a center left country. And once all that propaganda every day goes away, the fog in people's brains start to ease up too.
Oh, yeah. And it's mainly the really big cities. You've got like the heartland, and then you've got, middle, smaller towns, et cetera. But the big cities typically lean more towards the left, at least in the Northwest. So, and I think like we were talking a moment ago, just a lot of that seems to be connected to the media and the push of the media and the people that they put into office, and then those that they put into the colleges that are teaching at the universities. A lot of times it seems to, I've seen it, man. And now that I'm seeing it the other way, and all these firings are taking place, Dogie's going in there and Elon Musk is going into these big organizations and branches of the government and finding all this excess money that's being spent. That it's pretty wild time, man. I'm fascinated with it. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, what do I do to how do I profit off of this? And how do I, make the world a better place? I feel like that's one of my main goals in life is have fun, but make the world a better place. Make the world a better place and have fun doing it. So how do we do that? Like, what are some good opportunities right now for trades? If somebody's considering getting into trading, or maybe they do trades, or they want to buy certain cryptos or stocks, what are some opportunities right now that you would recommend and that you see with your algorithms?
Yeah, so you mean make the world a better place, do good, but also make money by doing good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I know. We had to add that last part in. You have to have money to be able to do those things. Well, look, what's working now is that it's really kind of ironic because Trump wants to get energy prices down, but he also wants to drill, baby, drill. So the companies that are going to be involved in the oil servicing space are going to do extremely well. Okay. Natural gas companies are going to do well. Remember, because we're going to be exporting that to Europe. We're going to sign long-term contracts, to make that happen, and then drill, baby, drill here in the United States. Number one, tech in general is probably overbought, and so you're gonna, there's opportunities to short in that environment. Crypto is going to go through a lull here too. So, we see Bitcoin push down here potentially quite a bit if we go into recession, and there'll be another dip buying opportunity. But right now, if somebody put a gun to my head and said, Bob, what do you own or what would you buy? Well, I own a lot of energy, and I'm looking at today. It's another just incredible day. ExxonMobil is probably going to move up 10% here in the next couple of weeks because natural gas prices are been suppressed for so long under the Biden administration. Of course, we never got to get any advantage of it. It was suppressed at the low end, but we never got any breaks on our thing. Prices are going back on natural gas, so that's where I would be putting my money. There are also these high yield dividend products out there now by YieldMax and Roundhill, and so if you like a certain stock, they're trading call contracts against it. They're creating synthetic derivatives that pay some really, really good dividend rates. So I would take a look at that, and then then we have to kind of wait and see what plays out. Next couple of weeks, the market should be weak, WEAK, and then late spring into summer we should get another bounce, and then we should roll over pretty hard in the fall. We will get a recession sometime in the next 12 months, and it's in Trump's best interest that he gets it done sooner than later, because you don't want to have a recession running while you're trying to do the midterm elections. So that's my thinking. Don't have to overthink it. But here's the beautiful thing about it is if I can plug our algorithm, we really don't care. Trump gets in office, they put Robert Kennedy in there. You know what's moving up today? Pharma and biotech. All right, you think they'd get destroyed. But these are just trades, right? So our algorithm picks the trades up. You take the trade and you hop back off and you take the next trade. So we're agnostic. From a macro standpoint, I love energy, but from a trading perspective, I'm like Christmas morning every day. I wait to see what the algorithm's telling me that's going to pop up, and I look for the best trade to take for that day. And then these are not day trades. These are trades you can be in for a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And then as you use your cash up, you just look for new trades until you get fully invested. So people are doing really well. We've run a 2/3, 1/3 for the longest time. Our latest version of the algorithm, we have people reporting back that they're making 84% win rates on their, not return on investment, win rates on their trades. So, and people saying that we're changing their lives. So I'll take them at their word. And just so you guys know too, I've been with Rex for many, many years here. I don't overhype this stuff, but we're pretty excited. We think we discovered something here, and gives people really good tools to make less mistakes and make more money trading, and make it more enjoyable too. You're not guessing. You're not following the news. You're simple math. There's rules to trading, and as you can as we can optimize, you're going to make money. And so, I'm looking at my stuff today. It's just up beautifully today. Market is all over the place, and the algorithm just keeps picking the right stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved the algorithm. And I know you guys update it and upgrade it every once in a while. And for those out there, just so you know, like if you whether you're a beginner or a pro, Trade Genius is awesome because it gives you all the tools that you need, and you can put as much time and effort as you want into it, but it will help give you the extra tools needed to be successful. And man, I think you guys are great. And that's why I like to promote your products, because I believe in it. And so folks, check out tradelikeagenius.com. Let them know Rex from Leak Project sent you, so they'll know how you heard about them. And I mean, I know you got to get going here soon because you're super busy, and I appreciate you spending time with us, but like, is there any other words of wisdom or anything else you can share with us before we finish this up?
Our tools are see trade, take trade. If you could see the chart, you can see the trade. We make it that simple. So you could be first day trading. If you can pick out a color or a shape, even if you're colorblind, you can still do it because you can use a different shape for the alert. In fact, you can write an alert and it comes right to your phone, so you can be working, which probably like half our customers work, and so they can get the alerts that they generate or we generate for them, and they can take the trade and go back to work. So it's a great time to trade. The tools are just getting better and better all the time, and now with Grok 3 coming out and the upgrades to ChatGPT and Claude, we're able to write code and revisions and optimizations a lot more quickly, and just keep optimizing and changing as the markets change, and be able to just provide really good services. And what we charge is nothing compared to what you get out of it. I mean, we're really reasonably priced. people tell us that we're way underpriced, but I don't care. I make enough money, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I've been doing this 10 years, and I want people to be successful. And there's nothing like making money and to give you confidence doing other things in life, so you don't have to take that worry off your list. So with that, I do got to run. I actually have to jump on a meeting here, but I really appreciate, Rex, your time, and hopefully we can talk again at least next month. If not, definitely in April.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to speak to you next month. Maybe we could just do a once a month update. That'd be fantastic. And thank you.
You know what we should do next month. Next time we do it, let me just show you the algorithm. I'll just share my screen. I'll show you people. We'll do it live, so you
Perfect.
can actually see it how it works. Really cool stuff.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, right on. Well, thanks, Bob. Have a beautiful day and keep being the change the world needs to see, man. Thank you.
I'm in SoCal. It's beautiful today. Thanks, Rex. See you later.
See ya.